All right. Welcome to 10 Minutes With. This is I believe, our third episode of 10 Minutes With. Hi, Kate.
Hi, how are you?
I have a comb over, but otherwise I'm doing okay. So
Why?
I don't know. It's out of control, but whatever. So as you can see, we have a guest here with us for our next episode of 10 Minutes With. And Kolby Castillo runs the gaining in popularity very quickly, the sportsasajob.com. I think it's almost safe to call it an empire now because it's more than just that. So Kolby, welcome to the show.
I appreciate the nice words. I don't know if it's an empire just yet. I'm working my way up to
You know
there.
what? Your engagement. You have a Thursday night chat that you do with people. Looking in the same boat as you. Your engagement level on that is incredible. I mean, you've only been doing this for how many months now?
The podcast has probably been about 3 months or 4 since November, so not too long. So it's a fairly new thing. So really, I'm just learning as I go, and it's interesting.
I mean, what you've done with engagement and getting people to reply and participate, like you could teach a lot just on that alone. I mean, people royally struggle. We struggle with it a lot, which is really awesome that you've been able to pick that up so quickly.
I'm a huge advocate. Like I tell people, I actually released a free 5-step plan for anybody to create a podcast because I think that's the future of marketing or just building a community in general. Especially for big companies to mid-sized companies, especially with this pandemic, to be able to engage with your actual customer base while you can't sell them things in person or physically, you can still connect with them on a deeper level. That way, eventually, they'll come back to you and really just not be a customer for the short time, but at long time. So that's kind of like my approach to everything is creating a community base and not a follower base.
Agreed. And I mean, that's the same approach we take here, and it works very well. As you know, you're a part of our community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's been a huge part because, in the beginning, it was hard for me to get that interaction and the eyes on what we were doing. But every time you guys would retweet something, that's when I would see the things, peak up a little bit. I get followers from the people within the StadiumScene TV community. So, I mean, honestly, a lot of it hats off to you guys for building what you guys have built.
Thank you. So what all falls under the sports as a job umbrella, I guess is the way to put it right now?
Yeah. So like DJ mentioned, we started off as just a podcast, and we started several podcasts, and then
I didn't start the
the timer didn't go. That's funny. Time isn't, as long as you keep it underneath the 40 minutes of your plan, you're fine. But no, it started off as a podcast, and then eventually we started several other podcasts. And then I started to notice there were certain needs within the sports industry, especially among the young sports professionals and aspiring sports professionals. So we created a free agent database where basically anybody can sign up, whether or not you're looking for your first or next opportunity. We give you a free profile. We give you that platform to tell your story, but our whole twist on it is giving everybody a 5 to 15-minute podcast episode, acting some sort of like a resume. And I think that's where the future is headed. And then we're also launching within the next couple of weeks a mentorship mentee program for everybody within the sports industry. So ultimately, sports is a job. We're just a connector within the sports industry when it comes to information, opportunities, and people.
That's very interesting.
It's very different. I think a lot of people, when I tell people about the concept of the sports free agent database, when I'm like, hey, why are we still using a traditional resume right now when we're using softwares to analyze a resume and a person loses a job because of one keyword out of their whole resume? And talking to a lot of people and hiring managers, they narrow it down to 5 people, and then you bring 5 people in. They notice that 3 out of the 5 people, their personalities right off the bat don't fit with the organization. And really, they kind of wasted 3 spots on 3 people. When if there was more of a transparency when it came to a podcast episode, you're able to hear them, how they engage in answering questions, different things like that. You're able to get a better idea, and it provides that transparency for both sides.
I like that idea a lot.
So coming into this, I mean, you already work in the sports industry. in the university level, and you were actually an athlete in college. What did you play, and where did you play at?
I'm originally from Hawaii, so it's interesting. I'm originally from Hawaii, and I got a scholarship to a D2 school in the middle of nowhere in Crookston, Minnesota. And I always joke around with people that I probably honestly couldn't tell you where Minnesota was on the map before I got here, especially Crookston, Minnesota. I mean, we're a town of 7,000 people. So, I mean, this is totally different. We got 2 Chinese restaurants, a Walmart, a Subway, and a Taco John's. But I played football. Unfortunately, I only could squeeze out 3 years of it. For the people watching, you can see my pinky. It's stuck like this. So it's all screwed up from the football. Yeah, I can't move it. You see the scar. There's a scar all the way down there.
And you've had surgery on that before too, haven't you?
Yeah, I had surgery and they didn't fix it. So it's an ongoing problem. I got a screw back here from my football days. I got shoulder surgery. I got knee surgery. I got a broken ankle. So I could only squeeze 3 years of college football out of it, and then I had to focus on the next half of my life.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, you're already halfway to being RoboCop.
I would rather be RoboCop. I'd rather they give me a robot hand and replace this one because this one don't work properly no more.
And so you said you're focusing on the next, well, hopefully more than half of your life. But what do you do right now?
Yeah. So currently, my actual, like you were saying, the ones that pay my bills and give me my benefits and things like that is I work at the University of Minnesota Crookston as an assistant event management and intramural coordinator. And basically I'm in charge of home game operations, the intramural side of our wellness center, and the student athlete development. But one of the most interesting things right now, and it's exciting for me, is I'm actually leaving my job, finishing out my contract, and I'm actually going to go do sports as a job as a full-time thing just because of the things that we're doing. We've gained a lot of interest on outside sponsors and things like that. And I think the concept that we have, and I have a team behind it now, I think we could take it to the next level as long as we put our energy into it.
That's awesome. Is that something that you're breaking here, or are people aware of that already? People are
aware of it. I don't think the podcast episode came out yet where I talked about it.
Okay.
So this might be breaking, but I have personally told people about it, and it's out there already. But I think it's super important for me. The pandemic part of it, I've been thinking about it, and the pandemic kind of put things in perspective, saying, hey, there's a lot of things going on. Well, you're super young. Let's take a chance on it. But I also think the concept of it, it's different, and I think a lot of people right now need something. And they need the help of somebody to be a connector.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, they always say bet on yourself. That's the way to go.
Yeah. And it's exciting, but I can also tell you it's a scary thing. I think a lot of people say that, especially people who bet on themselves. And one of those things I do get that fear sometimes, but it's super, super exciting. I love it. I love what I'm doing. And eventually, hopefully, I can turn it into that empire, like you were saying.
So, Kate, if I went and bet on myself tomorrow, do you think my wife would grab my kids and walk out on me? Or actually, they'd probably kick me out.
I'd probably have a panicked phone call from your wife. Being he's lost it.
Not quite there yet, but we're getting there.
The good thing I don't have kids and a wife just yet.
Yes, it does add a little complicated piece there when you're starting to save for college for kids. That scholarship is not a guarantee.
No.
My history with student loans, and Kate also has a history of student loans, can tell you.
Oh yeah, and even if you make it to that D2 level, I can tell you I got loans on top of that. I could only squeeze 3 years of football out of it. So
that's right. Ugh.
So try not to make sure they stay healthy and stuff. Let them get into baseball or golfing or something like that. Or esports is a new wave.
There you go.
How about rowing? I heard you can get college scholarships for that.
Crew.
They might. If you can they give you money for anything. As long as they can find something to get a scholarship for, you push them towards it. My brother right now, I got a baby brother who's 8 years old. My dad actually, he hasn't played sports yet. And usually I have a middle brother. We were all in sports probably since we were 4, and he hasn't played sports yet. but my dad got him a Xbox, and he was saying I'm training him to be an esports player. So he's literally playing Xbox and on his Nintendo Switch and playing games and all. So either he's gonna be a big star there, or they're gonna find out somewhere down the line that it didn't help at all.
You know, I'm thinking about it now. It's like if they had this 20 years ago, I think my life trajectory would have been a little bit different. Probably be worse. I probably would have destroyed my life.
Well, we've hit 10 minutes.
We have hit 10 minutes. All right. So thank you, Kate, the timekeeper. So Kolby, thank you for coming on the show today. Let's plug some social media, some websites. Let's do it.
Yeah, you guys can, again, if you guys are looking for sports business content, if you're looking for your first or next opportunity in sports, you can visit us at www.sportsasajob.com. And across the board with Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, you can find my company website at Sports as a Job. My personal accounts are KOLBY_Castillo, and that is across the board for everything.
All right. And if you really want to dig back in the archives, you can look back to about December or so, and I was actually a guest on your show early on.
One of the original.
See, before you had people pouring out to be guests on your show, you're like, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" I'm like, "I don't really have much to say, but sure." Actually,
that was probably the longest, one of the longest.
Who am I kidding? I don't shut up.
No.
I remember you warned me before that, and I didn't really know what to expect. And we went I think it was probably an hour, and I even cut things out, and it was a super long episode.
You know, I actually send them text messages when we're recording that say, "Shut up, you're talking too much."
That's what he was telling me.
She hasn't yet.
I remember that episode he was telling me, yeah, Kate usually texts me and tells me to calm down. And I was like, oh, I mean, I see now why she does that. She's not here no more. And then the analytics told me that attention span is only 30 to 45 minutes, so I got to keep it kind of to that time limit.
It was even on our show we just recorded, our guest even, like, I got kind of worked up. And he's like, you know what, we're going to let Kate ask a question while DJ calms down. Anyway, so again, thanks again for being on the show. We're going to have you back with Olivia, your co-host, hopefully soon, that we can talk more in detail about sports as a job. Until then, visit us at StadiumScene.tv. Check us out on social media at StadiumScene on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, and Stadium_Scene on Instagram. Oh, and I guess Stadium Scene on TikTok, even though you're not going to find anything there. So we have it, though. All right, take care. We'll see you next time.